The ambush on Cliven Ridge. The air was dry and thin on Cliven Ridge. Dust floated in the wind. Sharp black rocks cut through the red soil like broken glass. The planet was quiet. But not for long. Varela crouched behind a half-destroyed hovercraft. Her long purple fingers held the edge of her blaster tightly. Her heart pounded. The elite soldiers around her stood tall, ready, focused. They wore dark armor with glowing red symbols. These were the best warriors of the Zalari Empire. And Shia, young scout, was just here to observe. Their target stood at the center of the ridge. One human, a male, no weapon. Just a plain shirt, torn pants, and a rock. Varela frowned. Why is he holding a rock? Commander Chlorith, leader of the elite unit, gave a cruel grin. He's given up. That's all they know, throwing stones like animals. The squad laughed. One elite moved forward slowly, confident, proud. His name was Tharn, fast, deadly. He raised his plasma blade high, but the human didn't run. Instead, the human stared straight at Tharn. His body was calm. His eyes didn't blink. Varela saw something strange in his face, not fear, not anger. Something else not focused that had happened. The human shifted his weight, bent low, and moved fast, too fast. He dodged Tharn's first strike, slid under his arm, and smashed the rock into the elite's knee. Crack! Tharn screamed. His leg gave out. The human spun around and smashed the rock into the elite's helmet once. Twice. Tharn fell. Dead silence. Varela's mouth fell open. She had never seen a human move like that. No armor, no speed boosters, just raw speed and perfect aim. Impossible. She whispered. Commander Chlorith roared. Second unit move. The second elite charged. His boots made the rocks crack. Under his feet. He came from behind the human, ready to strike. His blade glowed bright blue. But again, the human didn't run. This time, the human ducked low and kicked dust into the elite's eyes. The soldier stumbled. The human used the moment to grab his arm, twist it, and throw him hard against a sharp rock. The elite's armor cracked open at the side. Before he could rise, the human jumped one knee, crashing into his chest. He dropped. His weapon. With one final strike from the rock, the second elite stopped moving. Varela couldn't breathe. This wasn't training. This wasn't normal. She had seen warriors train with machines, suits, drills. But this was wild, fast, real. The human was bleeding now. A cut on his shoulder, a bruise on his cheek. But he stood tall. His eyes scanned the area like a hunter searching for more prey. Commander Chlorith's face turned red with fury. Enough, he barked. Stand back, all of you, he's mine. The third elite stepped forward. Taller, stronger, and wearing an exosuit powered with energy boosters. His name was Varkan. He activated the boosters with a loud hum. Steam hissed. From his arms, a heavy blade unfolded from his back. You die now, human, Varkan growled. The human looked at his rock. Then at the narrow path behind him. A small canyon cut through the ridge. Steep walls, loose stones, a trap. He ran. Coward. Varkan shouted and gave chase. But this wasn't fear. It was a plan. The human led Varkan into the canyon. Varela, still hiding, climbed up a nearby rock for a better view. She couldn't look away. The human moved fast through the canyon, jumping from one ledge to another. As Varkan followed, heavy and clumsy in his suit, the human reached a high point. He waited and watched. Varkan stopped below, confused. Then the human lifted his rock again and hit the canyon wall. Rumble. The rocks above Varkan began to fall. One, two, then many. A landslide crashed down, Varkan shouted. He tried to escape, but it was too late. The rocks buried him. Silence again. Varela didn't move. Her legs felt frozen. She couldn't believe it. 3 elite warriors gone, beaten by one human. And all he had was a rock. The human slowly walked out of the canyon, breathing hard. He wiped blood from his lip. Then he turned and looked straight at Virela. Their eyes met. She froze. He took a slow step forward. She didn't lift her weapon. She didn't run. Her mind raced. Who is he? And how? How did he just do that? The second strike, the wind howled across the ridge as dust clouds swirled in the air. Virela's hands were shaking, now not from fear, but from confusion. She had trained to fight humans. She had studied their weakness. But nothing in her training had prepared her for this. One human, 3 elites. And only a rock. Virela stood still, her blaster heavy in her hands. The human was getting closer now, step by step, slow but steady. His face was scratched. Blood ran down his arm. But his eyes, those calm, sharp eyes, were locked on hers. He stopped just 10 feet away. Then, something strange happened. He dropped the rock. Virela blinked. The human raised both hands, slowly, to show he had no weapon now. He wasn't threatening her. He wasn't afraid either. "My name is Reed," he said. His voice was low and rough. "I'm not here to hurt you." Virela didn't reply. She couldn't. Her mind was spinning. Why didn't he finish her? Why? Was he talking? A loud screech broke the silence. Both of them looked up. Another enemy drone, round, black, and fast, rushed overhead. It scanned the area and sent out a signal. Reinforcements were coming. More elite soldiers. Maybe a whole squad. Virela's piece beeped in her ear. "Scout Virela, respond. What is your position? Do you need support?" She hesitated. If she told them the truth, they would bomb this place and kill the human instantly. If she lied, they would know. Reed watched her carefully. He didn't run. He didn't speak. He just waited, as if trusting her. She answered, her voice weak. "I'm fine. Situation under control." A pause. Then, her commander's voice. "Return to forward base when ready." The signal ended. Virela looked at Reed. "You're not like the others." He gave a small smile. "Neither are you." Before she could answer, another sound came, heavy footsteps from the canyon. Something was still alive. From the dust and rocks, a metal arm rose. It was Varkan, crushed but not dead. His suit sparked and hissed. His helmet was cracked. His body was half buried, but he was dragging himself out 1 inch at a time. "Human," Varkan growled. "You die." "Now," Virela shouted. "He's still alive." "Move." Reed didn't run. Instead, he picked up a broken piece of armor from the fallen elite nearby. Not a weapon, just a sharp, curved metal plate. Varkan lifted a plasma knife from his suit. He was weak, but dangerous. Sparks flew from his boots as he tried to charge. Reed didn't wait. He ran toward the enemy. Virela gasped. The human ducked low again and used his speed spinning to the left, dodging the blade by inches. He stabbed the metal plate under Varkan's arm joint, right where the armor was weakest. Varkan roared in pain and dropped. It was over. For real this time. Virela sat down, stunned. The human stood, breathing hard. He looked at the sky. "More are coming, aren't they?" She nodded. Reed walked over to the canyon wall and sat beside her. He pulled off a glove and checked a deep cut on his hand. "You never told me your name." She hesitated. "Virela." "Nice to meet you, Virela," he said softly. "Why didn't you shoot me?" She looked at him, confused. "I don't know." The truth was, she felt something shift. The war wasn't just about orders anymore. Not after what she had seen. No one had ever survived a fight with 3 elite warriors. No one had fought with nothing but a rock and still won. And no one had looked at her, not as an enemy, but as a person. For the first time in her life, Virela wasn't sure who the enemy really was. The final elite falls. The sun vanished behind the clouds, casting long shadows over Cliven Ridge. The sky darkened. Virela felt a strange chill crawl down her back, not from the cold, But from something deeper, something was wrong. She and Reed sat in silence beside the canyon wall. The ground was quiet. Too quiet. Even the wind had stopped. Suddenly, a red light blinked on Reed's wristband. "Motion sensor," he said quickly, his voice now alert. "Something's moving underground." Before she could react, the ground near them cracked. Boom! A hidden tunnel exploded open, and a shadow shot out of it. Another elite. But not just any elite. This was Unit Prime, a black armored assassin-class warrior. Silent, deadly, unknown to most. He was the Empire's secret weapon, sent only when all others failed. Varela's eyes widened. "That's impossible." "There were only 3. He was hidden," Reed said, standing fast, waiting for the right moment. The assassin didn't speak. He didn't need to. In one blink, he moved faster than the others. He launched straight at Reed with twin energy daggers slicing the air. Reed dodged the first strike. Just barely, but the second blade grazed his leg. Blood sprayed. Varela raised her blaster and fired, but the assassin spun and deflected it with his armored wrist. Moving like a shadow in the dark, Reed backed away, limping slightly, picking up a metal rod from the rubble. Not a weapon, a distraction. He threw it high. It clanged loudly as it hit a metal beam above the ridge. The assassin looked up for just a split second. That's all Reed needed. He grabbed a chain from a broken drone nearby and swung it with full force around the assassin's leg. The elite stumbled. Reed jumped. Using gravity and his own body weight, he tackled the assassin backward straight toward a sharp ridge. Both crashed down. Dust flew. Varela ran forward. "Reed!" For a few seconds, there was no movement. Then the dust cleared. The assassin's body was pinned under a jagged rock. The daggers had fallen far. Reed stood slowly. One arm was bleeding, and his shirt was ripped open, but he was breathing. He had done it again. 4 elites. 4 kills. Varela looked at him like he was a myth. A story from old war tales. How? She began, but couldn't finish. Reed didn't answer. He looked at the assassin's armor and pulled something from the belt, a small flashing cube. "What is that?" she asked. He turned it over. "Remote beacon. It sent a signal the second." He surfaced. Varela's eyes widened. "You mean they're coming?" He nodded. "In less than 5 minutes." This time she didn't hesitate. She took off her scout badge and crushed it under her foot. "We can't stay here." Reed looked at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "You saved me. Now I'll return the favor." Together, they vanished into the rocky hills, running from the Empire, from the war, and toward something new. Face to face, the stars had started to appear, one by one, in the dark purple sky. But the 2 figures running across the rocky cliffs didn't stop to look up. Virelo was breathing hard. Her legs ached. Her body wanted rest, but her mind was wide awake. She wasn't running from the human anymore. She was running with him. Reed didn't speak much as they moved through narrow paths and hidden caves. His wound was bad. Blood stained his leg, but he pushed forward like it didn't matter. Finally, after an hour of silence, they stopped at an old mining outpost built into a mountain. It was empty, forgotten by both sides long ago. Reed collapsed against a wall, sweating. Varela tossed him a water capsule. "Drink. You'll die before sunrise if you don't." He caught it and smiled weakly. "Thanks." They sat together in the dark room, side by side but still guarded. Outside, wind howled like ghosts across the cliffs. Inside, the only sound was their breathing. Varela broke the silence. "You could have killed me back there. Why didn't you?" Reed took a long sip of water before answering. "Because you didn't shoot me first." She looked down. "I was told humans were dangerous, unstable, primitive, but I've never seen anything like what you did today." "I didn't want to kill them," he said quietly, "but they gave me no choice." Varela turned to face him. "Where did You learn to fight like that? Reed looked out the cracked window. Earth isn't peaceful. Before the stars, we fought each other. Wars, training, survival. Some of us grew up with nothing but our fists and instincts. He held up the bloody rock. We learned to turn anything into a weapon. Varela's voice was soft. That's why they fear you. It's not just strength. It's creativity. Reed nodded slowly. And maybe because we never stop adapting. She studied his face, worn, scarred, human. But behind those tired eyes was something her species didn't understand. A will to live. A fire that didn't burn out. I used to think we were the superior ones, she admitted. Genetically advanced. Smart, strong, but now, Reed chuckled, you still might be. I'm just too stubborn to die. For the first time she smiled. They sat in quiet again. After a while, Varela took off her helmet and let her lavender hair fall around her shoulders. You risked your life. I lied to my commander. There's no turning back now. Reed leaned, his head against the wall. Then maybe we figure it out together. Outside in the sky above them, red lights blinked in the clouds. Enemy ships were searching. War wasn't over. It was just getting closer. But for now, inside this broken outpost, a human and an alien sat face to face, not as enemies, but as something new. The secret of the rock. The fire crackled softly in the center of the old outpost. Reed had built it using pieces of broken crates and fuel rods. The warm light flickered against the cold metal walls, casting long shadows behind them. Varela had never seen a real fire before. On her planet, heat came from plasma generators and thermal vents. But this flame, this living thing, danced like it had a soul. She sat across from Reed, hugging her knees, her eyes fixed on the small fire. It's beautiful, she whispered. Reed nodded. Humans used fire before we had cities, before we had anything. Varela tilted her head. Why would you use something so wild, so hard to control? He smiled and picked up a small stone from the floor. It was dark gray, nothing special. But he turned it over in his fingers like it meant something. This, he said, holding up the rock. This isn't just what I used to fight. It's a memory. It's history. Varela raised an eyebrow. It's a rock. Reed chuckled. Maybe to you. But where I come from, the first humans survived by using rocks and fire. We had no claws, no armor, just our hands, our brains, and our will. He tossed the rock gently in his hand. Everything we've become started with this. Varela leaned forward, fascinated. But how did you beat trained soldiers with? Just that, Reed looked her in the eyes. Because I didn't fight their weapons, I fought them. I watched, I listened, I waited. That's what humans do. We adapt, we find the smallest weakness, and we hit it hard. Varela was silent for a moment. Then she said softly, you made me doubt everything I was taught. She pulled out a small metal tablet from her pouch. It lit up with a green glow, displaying the Imperial soldier training files. It had diagrams of human weaknesses, reaction times, behavior patterns. All of this, she said, says humans break easily. But you didn't, Reed shrugged. Your files were written by people who've never met someone like me. He paused, then added, most of my people are like me. She stared at the fire again, thinking. Then she asked, Reed, why are you here on our planet? His face changed. He looked away for a second before answering. I wasn't sent here, he said slowly. I escaped here. Varela frowned. Escaped? Reed nodded. The Empire raided my home colony. I was taken as a prisoner, forced to work in mines. I broke out during a transport crash and ran into your squad by accident. Her eyes widened. You're a fugitive. I'm a survivor, he said, just like you'll have to be now. Silence filled the room. The fire crackled again. Varela turned off her tablet and placed it on the ground. She stood up and walked to Reed. Slowly, She sat beside him. "I don't think you're my enemy anymore," she said quietly. Reed looked at her. Their shoulders touched lightly. "No," he replied. "I think we both have the same enemy now." Above them, in the night sky, red dots moved in formation. The Empire was searching. But inside this forgotten place, a new alliance was forming, one born from fire, stone, and truth. The enemy arrives. Lightning flashed in the distance, but there was no storm. That light came from the sky. From warships. Varela stood at the edge of the cliff, eyes locked on the horizon. In the darkness, she could see it now, three glowing dots growing brighter, each second. Drops. They were coming. Reed wrapped a torn piece of cloth around his wounded arm. He didn't ask questions. He didn't panic. He had seen this before. When the Empire sent dropships, it meant one thing: no survivors. Varela's voice was cold. "They must have tracked the beacon from the assassin's body." Reed nodded. "And now they're coming to wipe everything clean. No evidence, no witnesses." She looked at him, her expression sharp. "They think I'm a traitor." "Ah. You?" he asked, without anger. She hesitated, then said, "No, I've just seen the truth now. They had minutes. Maybe less." Reed pulled open a rusted panel inside the outpost. "There's a tunnel here," he said. "Mining shaft. Might still connect to the lower ravine." Varela checked her blaster. "If they scan this place and don't find bodies, they'll search the whole area." Reed pointed to a stack of old crates. "Then we give them bodies." They worked fast, burning scraps of clothing, armor pieces, and placing them near the fire. Varela placed her broken helmet near the heat. From above, it would look like two bodies burned in an explosion. Just as they finished, the first dropship broke through the clouds. It hovered overhead, silent, deadly. Varela grabbed Reed's arm. "Now!" They slipped into the tunnel, ceiling. The panel behind them. The light from the fire vanished. Darkness swallowed them whole. The tunnel was tight and cold. They moved fast, sometimes crawling, sometimes sliding. Water dripped from the walls. It felt like the ground itself was holding its breath. Above them, the world burned. The dropship fired 2 plasma blasts, enough to flatten the entire outpost. Varela heard the explosion like a dull heartbeat behind her. She kept crawling. Reed's voice was calm behind her. "You sure this tunnel leads out?" She answered, "No," he laughed, "just like old Earth caves. We never knew where they ended either." After an hour of crawling, they reached a dead end. A wall of rock. Varela kicked it in frustration. No way out. Reed studied the ceiling. There were cracks, weak points. He picked up a jagged stone. "Step back," he said. She moved. He slammed the stone into the ceiling once, twice. Dust fell. Then, crack. A section above them gave way. Light. They climbed out into the open air. Wind rushed around them. They were in a ravine now, hidden by cliffs and shadows. The Empire would never find them here. Varela fell to her knees, breathing hard. Reed stood beside her, staring back at the smoke rising in the sky. "They think we're dead," he said. She looked up at him. "That gives us time," he nodded. "Time to plan, time to strike back." She extended her hand. Together, he took a from enemies to allies. The war had taken everything from them. But it had also given them one thing they never expected: each other. Unexpected alliance days passed. The sun rose and fell over the jagged cliffs. But no one saw the 2 figures hiding deep within the ravine, an alien scout and a human fugitive. Didn't speak much now. They didn't need to. Trust had grown quietly between them, like fire under ash. Varela spent her time repairing a signal jammer from scraps of old tech. Reed trained using rocks, sticks, and anything sharp he could. Find, not to kill, but to prepare. Because they both knew peace was just a pause between 2 storms. One morning, while checking the sky with her scanner, Varela's eyes went wide. Look, she said. Reed looked up. Above them, 5 ships hovered in orbit. Not Imperial ships. Rebel ships. I sent a hidden signal, Varela explained. A rebellion is forming, small, silent, but real. Reed raised an eyebrow. Aliens rebelling against their own empire? She nodded. The war hurt more than just your kind. Some of us are done obeying monsters. Suddenly, her scanner beeped again. No. She whispered. 2 Empire cruisers had followed the rebels. They were coming to destroy everyone again. Reed stood tall. Then we fight. Varela stared at him. With what? He held up a sharp metal rod and smiled. Anything. The rebels landed just as the Empire ships opened fire. Plasma bolts lit the sky. Explosions shook the cliffs. Varela and Reed ran straight into the battlefield. No armor, no command. Just courage. Reed took down soldiers with speed and traps pits, falling stones, and perfect strikes. He moved like a ghost through smoke. Varela hacked the enemy drones mid-air, sending them crashing into their own tanks. Her knowledge became their weapon. An Empire commander spotted Reed and shouted, "You again? You were supposed to be dead." Reed smirked. "You're not the first to think that." With one final throw, he launched a spike into the commander's chest. The battle turned. Rebels began to win. Empire forces retreated. Silence returned, this time not from fear, but from peace. After the fight, Varela stood beside Reed at the edge of the battlefield. "You changed everything," she said. He shook his head. "No, we did." She looked at him, her voice soft. "I was trained to believe humans were wild, dangerous, less than us." "And now?" he asked. She smiled. "Now I believe. We never deserved your kindness." Reed looked up at the stars. "It's not kindness, it's survival." Together, they didn't kiss. They didn't hug, but in that moment alien and human, warrior and rebel stood as equals. A new alliance had been born, not with words, but with fire, stone, and unbreakable will.